the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast, and we are glad that you have joined us wherever and whenever it is that you join us here on the Auburn Blitz Podcast. And boy, do we have a special guest with us here today. Want to welcome in, I still call him Coach Tuberville from my days at Auburn, but Senator Tommy Tuberville and possibly future governor of Alabama, Tommy Tuberville. Coach, good to see you, buddy.
Well, good to see y'all. It's good to be on, and I like that bass you got in the background right there. I used to throw those back, though, that size when I caught them. I didn't.
I had a feeling you'd say something like that. Yeah, I can only catch small ones, so I have to just put up on the wall what I can do. So, well, Coach, thank you for joining us. I know you're busy.
Oh, we're busy, and we're supposed to start our month vacation every year. We take August off. And we put a French work weekend up here. We don't work very often and are very long. And sooner or later, we're going to figure out we're not going to have power and President Trump for much longer. So we need to take advantage of it. And I'm for staying up here. Here's the deal. Everybody's wondering what's going on up here. President Trump, they're trying to play hardball on his coaching staff that he wants to hire, so to speak. That's the people, not just the agency heads, but also everybody underneath to actually do the work. Well, Democrats are trying to play hardball here and not allow us to do them at a fast pace. They're just slowing it all down because they don't want us to get anything done. And so President Trump says the Senate needs to stay in session until you get it done. Hey, I'm all for it. If we need to stay up here and hold the feet to the fire of the Democrats, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you're putting in some hard work, aren't you?
Well, it's really not hard. It's frustrating. That last year at this time, for instance, or the first year of Joe Biden, he had around 50 that we just allowed them to voice vote, no debate, anything. They just marched them through and went to work. They have allowed President Trump 0. So that's what I'm talking about. You're talking about 1,100 more people that we need to hire to work and do the things that the American taxpayers need to back President Trump. 1,100 of them, and it's like pulling teeth up here. So it takes 2 hours per nominee, and normally the Democrats we just gave time back, in other words, and have a 10-minute vote and for the Democrats. But Chuck Schumer is scared to death of AOC. They're thinking that she might run against him, and if she does, she'll beat him. He's been up here way too long, but that's a scary thought for her even have an opportunity to be in the United States Senate.
I agree with you on that. I'm just going to come right out and say that is scary. Well, Coach, I know we've got you for a few minutes. So Faith and I have several things we want to talk to you about. First of all, congratulations on running for governor here in the state of Alabama. I know you're doing double duty right now. You're in that Senate seat, but then you decided to run for governor. Kind of tell everybody about what went into that decision.
Well, I'm not a politician, and I ran to help us get a majority in the United States Senate and get Doug Jones out, who was a Democrat, and we did that. We beat him by 25 points. I've learned a lot. I've really enjoyed a lot of this. Now, when Joe Biden was in office, it made me sick at my stomach that we were printing $80,000 a second to keep this country going, and they were just flushing money out the door right and left. It pretty much bankrupted the future of our country and our kids and our grandkids. I don't know how we're ever going to pay it back other than one way, and President Trump knows that. It's about tariffs, and they are working. But I decided to think about the governorship. Kay Ivey is timing out. She can't run again. And as I thought about it, and President Trump and I visited about it, that he's going to send more power and more money back to every state, education department, ag department. And as I told President, I think I'm going to go back and be the CEO of the state. We'll put a game plan together and a coaching staff together and do what's best for the people of Alabama and try to make life better, because I look at it like this. We're in the middle of SEC country. We've got Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana right around us. People are going to move manufacturing in the next few years to some state in the South. People are going to move from the north to the south. Why not move to Alabama? And so I'm a recruiter, and so we're recruiting manufacturing every day to do that. And we need better jobs. We need a lot of things: better roads, infrastructures, education. You name it, we need it. We're going to do it all, but we're going to make sure that we grow our state the next few years once we get into office and make life better for the citizens of Alabama.
Coach, why don't we start talking about something that has been ever evolving this past just couple of months? The time that you coached in the SEC and the years you coached, kids would stay at the school for 3 to 4 years. That was the norm. Well, in July, you introduced the PASS Act, protecting athletes, schools, and sports, with the intent of preserving the integrity of college sports. Explain how the PASS Act would work with the new CSC statement that they came out with just yesterday.
Well, first of all, it's a total mess. Okay. I don't know how we're going to survive the way it's going. So Joe Manchin and I, 4 years ago, on the behalf of the SEC and a lot of the commissioners across the country and coaches, Coach, please get involved. And as I told them, now you get the federal government involved. This is not a do it if you want to. This is a law. But, we put this great bill together to help our athletes, help education, help enhance college sports, men and women. The problem is the Democrats, after we got the bill done, would not put it on the floor because they wanted one thing. They want to unionize all players in sports. And that's what the Democratic Party is about. They're about unionization. That's where they get a lot of their money and their support. I wasn't going to do that. And listen, I'm for all these players making money, but it shouldn't be pay for play. Yep. It shouldn't be anything about other than after that point, education. You shouldn't be able to transfer just to make $15,000. And I don't mind if they transfer one time, but go back to the old rule of, hey, if you transfer, good. You transfer for the right reason, but you got to sit out a year. There's got to be some kind of skin in the game for athletes. Again, I'm for them making money, but I'm for making money off their name, their image, and likeness after they've had success at the school that they go to, not to give them $3 million to come play for a school. That is not what this law was about. It never was, but the NCAA has not had any guts to step up and say, no, we're not doing that. They're afraid of lawsuits. I've been very disappointed in NCAA and the new president, Charlie Baker. They try a little bit, but again, we're going to lose college sports as we know it if we don't watch it.
Well, Coach, I think we have, unfortunately, and I kind of go with what you said with the NCAA, staying tied up in lawsuits and basically just throwing their hands up saying, okay, everybody just do whatever they want to do now. And NIL was abused from day one. Colleges immediately started saying, okay, we can pay players now. Obviously, it was designed for kids to go out and sign separate deals for them to make money off their name, image, and likeness. But we all know it's not being handled that way. And now you've got the new sports commission that's changed literally their decision 3 times in the last week and a half. Is the toothpaste out of the tube at this point, Coach? Do we just have to tear this thing completely down and start over again? I'm not sure it can be reeled in at this point.
No, it can't be reeled in. As I was with the president, I forget where, I think we were going to the Super Bowl. I was flying with him on Air Force One, and we talked about it for about an hour and a half. And I told him that. I said he wanted to look at executive orders to straighten all this out. And as I told him, I said, there's no way we can do this. Cast out of the bag with the money. We need to set some parameters of how that money is distributed. We've got to save women's sports. We've got to save Olympic sports. And I told him, I said, Mr. President, in a couple of years, you got Olympics coming to the United States of America in Los Angeles. And what's going to happen is we're going to look up and we're going to lose a lot of our Olympic sports in our universities, and there's not going to be any training. And that's where we don't have a training system like some of these other communist countries or socialist countries that's all they do for a living. They're trained in college sports. And we're not going to look very good. Hope being the host, that and the transgender part. But that's another point. So we've got to do what's best. Number one, for education. Education is long gone. I'm for going back and say, listen, if you don't keep your grades up and you don't have the the amount of hours to transfer, you can't transfer. You're not transferring for money. You're transferring only if you lose a coach or something like that. So there's a lot of things we can look at, but my God, it is a complete mess right now. I'm not liking what I'm hearing from a lot of coaches. Their coaches are starting to like it where they really don't have to recruit. They go out and offer money. And that's not it's got to be harder than that. And so let's get back to the education part. Pay the players for what they learn, what they earn,
right,
and don't pay them to play.
Coach, Title IX and protecting women's sports has been something that's very important to you. What has made that kind of your biggest priority since you've been in office?
Since I've been in coaching for a long time, Title IX pretty much started when I first started coaching high school ball years ago. I actually coached girls basketball. There wasn't a lot of opportunities or a lot of sports for women. And Title IX completely changed that. It made it to where women and girls had the same number of coaching staff, the same budgets, facilities, and all those things, number of sports. Back years ago, you just had basketball. There was very little. Now you got softball and volleyball and gymnastics. It has done so much for women. But number one, this NIL is not helping it.
No.
Number two, the transgender nonsense is going on to where now the guys want to go compete against women, which is complete idiocy. And I really don't understand what the Democrats are trying to get out of this, other than the fact that they don't want to make the LGBTQ all those letters mad, because that's the only place other than unions that they get their support. And so they can't go against that. But I do know a lot of the people up here that vote against it in the Senate. A lot of them have daughters and granddaughters and all those things. And I'm always telling them, what are you doing? I mean, are you more for an ideology? Are you for your country and for the women and the little girls in this country that want to play sports? Which side are you on?
It infuriates me. I've got a daughter. Obviously, I work with Faith, and she was an athlete. It makes me sick to my stomach. I've been pretty vocal about it. Faith can tell you that. And the Brooke Slusher situation, Coach, that went on at San Jose State, just kind of talk about that a little bit, because, again, it's different when you have a daughter. I would hate to think that I sacrificed my family for an ideology, like you said, and sell myself out. I don't get it. I just don't. And I don't know in a sane person's mind where that ever even makes sense to have a man in a woman's sport.
Well, you got people up here that actually don't think that they can tell you the difference between a man or a woman. I mean, first of all, that's complete nonsense. And they're just looking for anything to hang their hat on. And it's all run from politics. If you take politics out of it, this would never happen. And then you have more and more now of these guys that wouldn't even be in the top 100 in men winning some of these sports for women. And, this never happened in our lifetime because we didn't put up with it. I mean, there's got to be rules. I mean, you go by rules. And if you're a biological boy or a man, you don't participate against women. Bottom line, I don't care who you are, what you think you are. I don't care. You can be what you want, but it's a rule that you can't participate against women. Bottom line. So what's going to happen, and we started to see it, we've got entire teams across the country now that are men in women's sports in high school. And what's going to happen? You're going to have little girls or girls that want to get into sports at a young level where they really learn so much. They're not going to get involved. Parents aren't going to allow that. And these school boards that I see that are just absolutely just have lost their mind because they're supporting this, it's just a degradation of our country and our morals. And it all goes back to God. All goes back to now there's Christianity is being run out of our country. We're letting all this Islamic Muslim nonsense come here that they hate America, they hate Christians, death to Christians, death to Americans. I mean, it's just one thing after another that the Democrats say they support the United States, but really they don't. They want to change it to something where they can contain and maintain power, 100%.
Coach, one last thing to close. What do you think about this Auburn upcoming season and this football team?
I think it's better. I think they've gone out, and of course I would have loved to tried one time of going out and buying my own team. But if you're not very good, back in my day, you better work at recruiting and grow your players. If a player's average, you got 300 days to get him ready to play the next season. That's what it was all about, and bringing teams together, playing hard. There was a lot of teams that we had at Auburn that we weren't as talented, but we played well together as a team. And we didn't have a lot of 5-star athletes. And now everybody goes out and tries to hire those, buy those 5 stars. And there's no building of a team. That's what, I'll come to Auburn's first game and I will look at the roster and I won't know half of them, nor will anybody else in the stands. And there's no loyalty. Now, I'm still going to go, and because I love football, but half of those kids on that roster won't be there next year. Now, you ask me how they're going to be, they'll be better. I think the quarterback's going to be better. We've not been very good. Hughes is now, third year? Third year that he's been there. He's a good coach. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, a lot of these other teams have gone out and bought good players also. So it's very different. Texas spent $40 million on their team. Well, hell, if they don't win it, they need to fire everybody on the coaching staff and in the administration at the University of Texas, from athletic director on down. If you can't win, last year, Ohio State won the national championship because they spent $25 million. Well, you should win it.
Absolutely.
You should win it. So it disappoints me to know that, most of these kids are there for 1 year and gone the next year. But still, I love to go out and watch football.
We all still love the sport, but it sure is different, Coach, than the days that when we were down there at Auburn. Not driving you back to the complex on the golf cart from the intramural field. It's not the same anymore.
Yeah. Hey, I made them go out there on that intramural field for one reason. They would walk across those real plush practice areas, walking over the intramural field, and they'd, what are we doing over here in the rocks and the mud and the glass and the very little grass on the ground? I'd always tell them, you got to earn your way back. And so it was nowadays. I mean, you'd have half the team quit if they had to do that. But but that's what it's about. I mean, you want to do something that you appreciate. An escalation of something better.
Well, Coach, that's kind of symbolic of our society now. That has gone away. We don't make things tough, and we don't make people appreciate having to earn to get to a place. People just expect it to be given to them now, and it's reflected in all phases of society now. So
yeah, well, it's like being up here today. We never work on Fridays, and President Trump wants to stay all month to get all these people confirmed, and there's people down there looking around going, what are we here for? My God, we're going to work on a Saturday. We're going to actually put in a 40-hour week. We're going to stay up here and maybe vote at 10 at night. They have no clue, and that's part of our problem, as you said, Republican and Democrat. It's just the work ethic is not what it used to be. And, you get in it for a reason, do your job.
Coach, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. It's always a pleasure having you on our program. We applaud your effort. Keep fighting up there. If there's anything we can do here on the Auburn Blitz, let us know. We'd love to have you back soon, okay?
Thank you so much, Coach.
All right. See you soon. See you on the plains. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach. That's Senator Coach Tommy Tuberville there, and Faith, bringing back some old memories. I had to bring up the intramural fields. I couldn't let him go. After he gave me heck about my fish that he set on the wall, he throws those back. So I had to get him back in. So.
Of course. Well, that was so much fun. And again, we appreciate him so much for coming on here and being able to talk with us. We had a great time.
Absolutely. So we're going to get out. And again, I'll let you end it as always.
Everybody have the best day ever.